So there were more things that you were reaching for.
The second thing about money, I know that there is like massive empires of wealth.
You have no idea. We've seen.
Like, I get that, and people have told me that. Other people that can see it as well, they've told me that. So it's just validation. I know it's there. So.
Well, validation from others is not worth anything.
Okay.
Because.
True.
You can't offer vibration about that. But if it helps you to focus and helps you to feel for it. Right. So as you encourage that visceral feeling of exhilaration about, wow, what's unfolding, that's all you need to do. Just stay happily optimistic. That's all you have to do. Just stay happily optimistic and say things to the universe like, bring it whenever I'm ready for it, and I'll do my best to get ready for it as quickly as I can, but meanwhile I'm having a really good time. Meanwhile, I'm having a really good time. I'm satisfied where I am and eager for more. That is the best vibrational stance. I'm loving where I am and so eager for what's coming next. I love where I am and so eager for what's coming next. There's only engines going that way. Yeah.
So with money, is that all I'm supposed to do?
That's the only thing in your vortex. We've looked and looked and looked. There's no humanity, there's no fun, there's nothing, there's just only money in there. Of course not. Here's the specific answer to you and your specific question. If we can convince you, we'd like all of you to feel this with us, if we can convince you that being in this body and focused on something that is interesting and therefore accomplishing clarity, that's as good as it gets. And it doesn't matter what the subject of your attention is. Focus and find clarity and then experience the evolution of whatever it is you're focused upon. So in the beginning, often it is money, because in your human mind, and we get why, money feels like the key to so many things for you. It provides easier access and easier freedom. It's certainly not the answer to most of what's in your vortex or in your heart, but it is a wonderful facilitator. Certainly not the only thing there, but it's a nice thing to be there. You equate financial remuneration with freedom, and freedom is essential to you allowing for yourself all of the wonderful things that you're wanting. And then once money starts flowing, Esther caught a little piece of a television program last night where the Bill Gates and Melinda Gates Foundation was doing all of this wonderful work all around the world, but the money was important to the work that they are doing. And so once the money began flowing, then their attention could begin turning to other avenues that they were wanting. If the money hadn't been there, then the other ideas could not have flowed behind them. Sort of like that.
So I should just let my freedom flow and my vortex flow, and the money will flow.
Yes, yes, yes. And we would add to that, let your interests flow. Because if something feels compelling and interesting to you, you can be certain that there's enough in your vortex that has been coming together and enough cooperative components have been gathered that there is something surprising and delighting that is unfolding for you. Don't try to get too specific about what it is. You see, often people say, well, I want more money and I'm going to do it in this way and this way. And so it's not only what I want, but you try to figure out how it's going to come, when it's going to come, where it's going to come from, who's going to be part of it. And when you ask all those questions to which you don't have answers, you pile all these engines going the other way on your train. Where if you just talk about what you want and why you want it, now you're open-ended going that way. You're not bringing any undue resistance to your equation, and then the ideas unfold along the way, because it is certain that all that you intended as you came into this physical body is in your vortex, and all that you've picked up along your physical trail is in there, and your inner being knows everything about who you are and what you want, and knows the path that will bring you the most success. And do you know what your inner being terms success? Your happiness, your day-to-day, moment-to-moment happiness. Most people say, my success is about money and influence and power. Well, we're talking about influence and power and money Also, we're talking about connection to source energy, where the energy that creates worlds is flowing through you. But success is about the way you feel. Success is about you closing that gap between you and you. It's like we were teasing yesterday. If you want to toast some bread and you stubbornly refuse to plug the toaster in, you can go through all the other motions, all the successful motions. You're looking right there on the instructions, and you get the bread out, and you carefully take the slices out, and you wrap the bread back up so it doesn't get stale, and you put it in the toaster, and you push down the buttons, and then you wait for quite a long while, but you haven't plugged the toaster in, and you're not going to get toast. So what you really want is alignment. And alignment will always bring you joy and satisfaction and clarity, and those are the keys to success, and everything else follows that. Everything else follows that.
Thank you. That's very clear. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Enough?
Thank you.
Really good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm here from Norway, and I brought my wife, and last Monday we went on a long trip, first to Copenhagen, then to Boston, then on to Minneapolis. It was the first time I've ever felt what you've been talking about, because for some reason we sat in row 16 on all 3 flights, and on the flight from Copenhagen to Boston, the waiter, or what is he called, steward?
Flight attendant?
Yeah, flight attendant. He came and he...
Lifesaver?
Whatever. He came and he gave us all sorts of free service. We were in coach and we were supposed to pay for everything. He gave us everything for free, and he sat down, he talked to us, and he was telling us how wonderful the world is. And we sort of accepted that, and we went on to the next flight. And we've been looking to get into 3D printing for a long time. And we sat on the next flight and didn't talk to anyone, slept the whole way. And at the end, I woke up and my contact lenses were stuck. I had to get them out of my eyes, and I lost one of them. And the person next to me was starting to look for it with me. Couldn't find it, and the more we looked, the more we talked. And he said, you know, I'm an investor in 3D printing. And the reason I'm bringing this up is that for me, that was, this story is so good because it's contrast. It tells me that it is good because it usually doesn't happen.
Are you saying that sometimes something that appears contrasting in nature, like losing a contact lens, is actually the path of least resistance to something you're looking for?
Yes.
So if you really believed that things are always working out for you, then you'd be expecting wonderful outcomes no matter what. And that really is what step 5 is. Benefiting from contrast. Yeah.
Yeah. At the same time, I think that in our everyday lives, the manifestations and experiences may be just the opposite. And then I'm probably way out of the vortex or something. I don't know.
Well, we can understand why you might think that, because we'll give you a very literal sense of what was going on there. So focus back on the train analogy and acknowledge that for whatever reason, you had more engines lined up taking you toward what you wanted than engines working in opposition. So you were more lighthearted, and each good thing that happened caused you to plunk another engine on. So you had more momentum going toward your advantage and less momentum going toward any disadvantage. So then a contrasting experience happened. But because of the positive momentum, this contrasting experience not only didn't hinder you, it actually was of benefit to you. It opened the door for conversation about something that you really wanted. So this helps us say to all of you that things are always working out for you, but your perception of them has to do with how much momentum you've got going toward your desire and how much momentum you've got going in opposition to your desire. So things have always been working out for you, but let's say that instead of you feeling more good than not good, that you had been feeling more not good. let's say you hadn't gotten off on the right foot and you'd had some unpleasant things in your day-to-day now experience that had you pushing against things. And let's say that you were like most people, you're observing what's happening, and so it happens, you feel it, you flow it, it happens. And so let's say you were on that sort of, and let's say that under those conditions you lost a contact lens. Well, your timing would have been different. You wouldn't have been with a helpful person, perhaps. That person may have still been asleep, or that person may have been doing something else. You have so much control. Law of attraction and timing are the same words, because law of attraction is always operating in the powerful now. Law of attraction isn't operating in your yesterday or in your tomorrow. Law of attraction is operating in your powerful now. So whatever you're feeling now explains why things unfold the way they do. And it really comes down to something very simple. You're either receptive to help or you're blocked off to help.
So when I feel angry about something, it never
You're blocked
works
off.
out.
You're blocked off. We like this analogy. So life causes you to know that you do want something, and let's say that you actually are able to articulate, I want this, and you plunk an engine down going that way. So that engine is going that way and will continue to go that way and will gather momentum on its own, because your inner being is tending it. Law of attraction is responding to that thought. So it is moving. Now this is so important for you to hear this. As your engine is moving that way, and forgive the rudimentary analogy, but it will help you. As your engine is moving that way, and you are not moving, that engine moving will give you a little stress. Let's say your feet are nailed to the track, but the engine is pulling you that way. You will feel stress. Now, not as much stress as if you had an engine going that way, but not moving in the direction of your momentum does feel uncomfortable. Therefore, this is the most powerful and factual thing that we've ever said to anyone. The existence of your desire will automatically produce stress within you unless you let go and move with your desire. So the very existence of negative emotion means that you've got a desire. The very existence of negative emotion means your source, your inner being, is calling you. In other words, the existence of negative emotion means that help is on the way. And so don't be angry at yourself about your anger. Say, oh good, this is good news. This means I'm pulling against something. And what is it that I'm pulling against? My momentum, my success, my inner being, and what my inner being knows. And then tack onto this knowledge a few personal experiences where you witness with your own eyes things working out for you, and then little by little you become more of a cooperative component to your own allowance of things. And once you get rolling, once those things start stacking up, once this conversation leads to this conversation. Esther was playing with a friend a few weeks ago. They were working on a project together that was more about what he was doing than what she was doing, but she was helping him with this project, and they were high-fiving each other every 5 minutes. Because the thoughts that they were thinking and the fun that they were having just led to event after event after event after event that was just jaw-dropping. Nothing extraordinary in the sense that you couldn't understand how it happened. It was a consistent, constant sequence of it that left them breathless. And they said to one another many, many times, no one can ever explain that the universe isn't on our side and that things aren't working out for us. The evidence is too profound. Well, hearing it about someone else, hearing that a jet came and delivered one woman to the Chicago event is well and good and maybe even humorous, but when it happens to you, it's meaningful. Finding a $9,000 diamond in the bushes, if it happens to somebody else, oh, it's a coincidence, or maybe she was doing something different than I'm doing, or maybe she's just lucky, and maybe Abraham's just making a big deal out of what luck really is. But when it happens to you, when you are privy to the desire that's within you and the conversations that are within you, when you witness the universal response to your vibration, and when you're consciously aware of the vibration that you're offering, then this all begins to make sense. If you're just stumbling into things and you're not able to acknowledge the correlation between what you were thinking and what you were feeling and the manifestations, then you don't have hands-on access to how it works. But when it's happening to you like that, oh,
It's wonderful.
then you know.
Yes.
Then you know.
Yes. Thank you so much. And
Something
I will
more?
not beat myself up anymore for being angry.
Negative emotion is a meaningful response to not being in sync with the thoughts of your inner being about things that really matter to you. By the time it reaches anger, this matters a lot, and you're pulling hard against something you want. Yeah,
Thank you.
really good.
Thank you.